I've used butterflies on envelopes so many times to make ephemera for my junk journals, and I've added them to the covers to give a really stunning focal point. I've even used them on my envelope pouch in a range of colours to go with this Art Deco theme. They are my most favourite, most used embellishment, and I wonder if they're yours too. But no matter how many I have, no matter how many I make, I just never seem to have enough. So today I'm making some really easy ones in this craft DIY tutorial. They have curved wings, they sparkle, and they're just really cheap and fast to make. So if you'd like to make some too using just a few basic supplies, hit the subscribe button below, keep watching, and let's do it. So what supplies do we need to make a collection of beautiful butterflies in a very easy fashion? Well, of course we need an image, and one of the easiest ways of creating quite a collection of butterflies I've found is to use perhaps a collection of butterfly images from a digital. Now you don't have to use digitals, and you may not have any, you may not want to buy any, you may not want to use them. This set is from Tracy Fox. It's the Flutterby Fussy Cut Pages set 2, and I found that to be really useful and gives me a range of colours and designs. But you could also just use a book and tear that up. This is the Butterflies and Moths book by Ladybird, and in here what we have is some fantastic pages with pictures on which could be cut up. They are beautiful, aren't they? And I am, as you can see, totally struggling to do anything in the realms of cutting this up because I just can't do it at the moment. So what I have chosen to do, and it helps me crack on and make quite a lot of these quickly, is to cut out a butterfly from a digital, and the one I have landed on is this design from Andrea Allen, Artie Mays. So she has a shop on Etsy, and I really like it because it's dramatic, it has these beautiful pointed wings, it starts with a base colour with both black and a gentle teal, and I think it's got character and attitude. So I'm going to build on this with some iridescent paints, and I'm going to use a few paints from this set. It's an Arteza set of 10 acrylic colours, iridescent colours. All you need is something with a little bit of that mica in to give the shimmer, and I'll talk you through the particular colours that I've found to be most helpful in getting the best effect. I'm going to use what I have in my collection. I'm not minded to buy more, but I have some glitter glue and I'm going to use it. So that will come into play. And then the other thing that I'm going to use today are some little beads. And really this project came about because I was looking at these and thinking, what can I do with them? So I kind of reverse engineered the butterflies. Yes, I use them a lot and I can never have enough, but I want to do something with them. So let me just open this very carefully so that they don't scatter everywhere. The beads that I'm using came from a shop called Poundland in the UK, so not expensive. And this collection in particular I think is just stunning because it's got these different blues and purples and bronze colours. The beads are in different sizes, and I thought it would be a great way of using them because I was actually struggling to make best use of them. So this is also fitting with my plan to use up what I've got and just really enjoy my supplies. I also have a set in these pale colours, and I've had a little play with those too, but these purples and blues are just amazing and are great to play with. So what I will do is begin by painting and enhancing the antennae and the wings, and then we'll just add a little bit of the extras, and it all comes together magically, beautifully and incredibly quickly. So I've cut a few butterflies out, and I would recommend that you do perhaps all of the cutting to begin with to speed this up if you want to make a big batch. And I am going to take a black pen, in this case it's a black gel pen by Arteza, and I'm going to add definition to the antennae. Now, one of the ways in which I make this approach much faster than perhaps some other methods is I'm not using any wire, so I'm not going to add wire to create antennae or to have anything dangling. I'm going to use what we have in that firm paper, and I'm going to take my pen, just do a bit of scribble up that antennae. At the end, make the end of the antennae a little bit more bulbous. So a little bit of scribble, short lines, scribble up your antennae and make the end a bit more defined. The scribbly effect I think works because butterflies, to my knowledge, have this little bit of almost dusty fur, and they're not necessarily a straight line, and in this design I've tried a couple of approaches. I tried just a straight line, being really neat, and not only is this more fun, but it just gave a bit more of an effect in the finished item. So take your butterflies and just spend a minute or two augmenting the antennae, and I feel that this is enough to mean we don't need to do something with wires that's all a bit fiddly, and I don't have the wire anyway. So we are making our antennae work with just paper. So that is step one. Step two is what you might expect. We're going to add some lovely sparkliness to the wings. So I've got 3 here on my mat just to protect my desk a bit, and I need some water, and the paints that I've decided to use are my Arteza Shocking Lime Green, and I also want to show you the different effect with a purple, perhaps from this same set. This set of, so it's 10 acrylic colours, Arteza. They're really just cute little bottles with some lovely sparkle effect in them, and I thought butterflies would be a great opportunity to make use of these. I need my very dirty palette here and just a little bit of paint in that. You can see how I've been playing. Tiny amount actually, and let me show you the purple one as well. So this one, it looks like, I think, the colours on a car. You sometimes see two-tone cars, don't you, with these sorts of shades in them, and it is very pretty, and it has purples and greys and greens in it. What you want to do is take a medium-sized brush and add a fair amount of water. So this doesn't work with just pure paint, it's too thick, and I feel I want to see the pattern of the butterfly through it. So I'll start with the green, maybe about 50% dilution on that. I mean, you can always go over with another layer. Let's push those out of the way, and I'm going to add my iridescent paint to the wings. And at this point, you may notice that when I cut out those butterflies, I take the easy route in terms of cutting out. So by that I mean, I don't spend time doing what's called fussy cutting all the way to the edge of the image. I find that just too painful to do, to be frank. It takes a long time, and when I paint these wings, I take the paint all the way over that white border, and I quite like it. I quite like the effect of a bit of definition, which is no longer white because we've added the paint. It makes the butterfly a tiny bit bigger, and it certainly makes life easier when I'm cutting them out. So just a light coating of this paint is enough to give the shimmer effect, but not to lose the beautiful pattern behind, or indeed the various gradations of colour that have come through when you've printed your butterfly. I don't bother about painting the body because we're going to cover that up anyway, but I ended up with this gorgeous effect. Let me show you one with the blue, and in fact I think I've got one I've already done. I've certainly done one in purple. Here's a two-tone where I used a purple at the top 2 wings, so that's the sort of design you could do, and some of the green on the bottom. So let me show you the purple comes out quite muted. There's one. So this one, you think not a lot of purple in it, and I think it creates a butterfly that's got more of that vintage feel about it, albeit with some of that shimmer, glitter and some splotting of paint that we're going to do. So you can get some very different effects just by choosing different colours from your paints.
So have a look what you've got that might have some mica in it that's just a bit shimmery, and maybe see what happens when you paint your butterflies. So again, you can see here, I'm not getting a very heavy purple at all. I'm almost getting that magical dust effect on the wings. And I can see just a little bit of that purple coming through on the white border that I left, which I quite like. Making sure it's not too thick. So it doesn't take long to just add a coat. And what this coat of paint is also doing is adding just a little bit more thickness to the paper. Because the mica strokes, the strokes of paint that you add, are quite visible, what I do try to do is start at the body and work out. It just seems to be a little bit more authentic to the wings of a butterfly to paint in that direction. I don't bother painting the antennae anymore. I feel that those are okay. And all I do is work through and create a few butterflies like this. So I had tried with those other styles. This was in a thinner paper, so you can try it with all sorts of different designs, and it's great to have a number of different ones in your collection ready to use. This one has a lot more pink in it and a little bit more bronze at the bottom, and on this one I used different beads. So have a play and see what you like, see what designs work for you, for your projects. There's a cute little pink one. And really just have fun in putting some of that shimmer on your butterflies. So what I would do is let those dry and come back and add a little bit of glitter glue on top. So I do have some that I painted before. These are the ones in purple. So quite reflective and a muted colour. As I say, a little bit more of that vintage feel. This one was done in yellow and there's a bit more of the pigment coming through. This one was done in lime green. There's just a little bit of difference. I do like this lime green best for going with many, many other colours. Now all we need to do is take some glitter glue and paint them in the same way as we did with the iridescent paint. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is get a globule of this onto my palette. These glitter glues come in different colours themselves, and you might find that some are more reflective than others. So I'll take this is a water brush actually, choose a bit of the glitter glue, and again, starting with the body, just cover those wings, and enough of the glitter in this disperses to give just that perfect effect of magical sparkle. It's also, again, going to thicken and make your butterfly stronger, and that will allow us to create the curvature on the wings at the end, which really does add something special, something 3D. I'll show you some examples of those in a minute. So there's one. I think it makes it a bit more yellow as well. Let's try this pinky red one. Just see what works with different combinations. The glitter glue itself is quite transparent, so it doesn't add a great deal of colour at all. It's really coming from the underlying butterfly that you've printed or cut out of a book, and it's coming from your iridescent paints. And I like finding uses for my iridescent paints as well. I think they're quite magical, but they're not something I use that often, and any little technique that uses them I feel is quite fun. So again, strokes out to the edge, very easy, trying not to get it all over my board. So let's try one of the purple ones. I'll go back to the blue, I think. I'm getting a bit liberal with my glitter glue. You could of course go over with a few layers if you really want lots of glitter, whatever you want in your project. Just do one more wing, take that out. I really like these. I'm not going to replace my glitter glue, but if I've got it, I'm going to use up what I've got. I am trying to be a little bit more sensitive to sustainability. I'm just being really honest there. So I'm mindful, I'm learning, I'm thinking, I'm taking feedback, you know, I'm trying to get things right, get the balance right. A little bit more on there. So very easy, very quick to get your wings painted. Let's see what we have. Lovely, aren't they? But we haven't finished yet. We're going to add a few more adjustments to these to really add some extra magic. So at this stage what I'm going to do is add the beads on the body, and I have a few little tips for how I place them to make them stay and also to get the best effect. But first I just wanted to show you the difference between a flat butterfly on some of your projects, like the beautiful images nevertheless on these William Morris covers that I made. And I really like the butterflies, but I do think there's some extra drama and magic when we add something that's 3D. And these don't have the beads, but they do have some of that glittery effect, and I did the same enhancement to the antennae. Compare that with it's still 3D, but it hasn't had any of the paint from my Arteza set added to this. And it's pretty and it's big and it's dramatic and I like the black, but it just doesn't do the same to me as that. Having said that, for a collage cover, which was what this was on a junk journal, this perhaps was the right thing. Maybe I didn't want glitter on that one. So what I do is take a thick glue, and I actually have one that's separated, but the glue in these is thick. So I'm going to take one of these and still use it. Let's run an amount of glue all the way along that body, and you can see, I hope, it's quite a thick line, and because the glue is thick it's sitting up. And I'm going to take some of my beads and make a pattern with them and position them so that they have the best chance of sticking. So I like to start with some of my beautiful, almost peacock coloured little beads. I don't know what I'd use these for if I didn't use them for this kind of decoration. And I sit a coloured blue one on the body, and then I add maybe a bronze one either side of it, so I'm getting just a little bit of variety. And the way that I've found they stick best is, now these are beads so they have a hole in them, I have them with the hole sticking up, so rather than it being on its side, I give the glue the best chance of sticking to the bead by putting the bead with the hole going this way as opposed to on its side that way. And again, I don't know how I'd use these beads if I didn't use them for decoration. I've got some absolutely teeny tiny ones in here, so I used those as a little cluster at the tip of the body because I can shape them so that they match the shape and outline of the butterfly. And I've got some in that beautiful collection of peacocks and bronze and gold, and I'll add those at the top. So I feel like I'm making best use of the beads, and they're absolutely stunning. They do stick well in this glue. I'm not going to ever put any thread through them because they're far too tiny and fiddly for me, but I do have some fun by using them in this project. Let me add just a little bit more definition at the end with one of those purple ones. Do you have beads in your collection, and how do you use them? Do you use them as danglers for your junk journals, or do you stick them onto things like this? I would love to know. So just go through your various painted butterflies and add your beads in glue to the body, and then set those aside to dry, and what we'll do is move on to some paint splatting. The effect that I want to achieve, as you can see from the ones that I've already done here, is this slightly random splat effect with a combination of colours. So I didn't want to have just dots, and I certainly didn't want to have a technique where I dotted the butterfly because I felt it would just be too regular, and I want something that's got that movement. Like on this one, I've got some bronze here on the butterfly that's got some movement, some lines coming into it, and I've got lots of different sizes of white splat. So normally I'd do this in a box. I've taken the paper out from the box, and what I'm going to show you is just the technique I used to get some of that splat. I had to play around. To begin with, I wasn't really getting the effect I wanted, so I just kept playing. So let me put back onto this paper a couple of the butterflies that I have added beads to but have not yet splatted. Have I got any more? Well, why don't I just add a few? There's another one actually. And this doesn't have its beads yet, but I can add that, and I can even do it without adding the beads on a couple of the other colours. So why don't we just go large while we're doing it. So the splat for me is coming from a couple of acrylic pens, and something that I've found to be a fantastic supply and a great thing to play with is white. So I have a white acrylic marker that I'm going to use. This has already been pumped to get going. It probably needs something to knock against, so the lesson I have is to have something hard to tap on, and let's just see what we can do. It's quite a finish nib, and you'd think it's a pen. Yes, it is a pen, but I can get white splats coming out of it. It takes a bit of time, and that's okay because I'm getting quite dainty splats to begin with. You can see why it's good to do it in a box. The more bold you get, the more movement you get as those dots land in different distributions and patterns on your butterfly. So feel confident, have a go and get splatting. So there's some white. I also had fun adding a bronze colour. So A104 bronze. In fact, let me show you the pack. So these pens come from this pack of 20. It's called the Arteza pack of 20 bright colours, quick drying, low odour, I can't smell anything, water based, UV resistant, acid free. So a collection of colours in there and some spare tips. So the white and the bronze that I'm using are coming from this, and you can see you could have a go at playing with some complementary colours. So again, I'm taking the bronze one and get it going, give it some taps. It's starting to flow already, and I do think having a couple of these splat colours really does add something. And the bronze is quite a neutral colour. The benefit of it being acrylic is when it dries there is still strength of colour. So the risk is with some white paint, if you added it, that by the time it's dried you can't really see it. And I do want to see this. I think it gives that natural effect when we're done. So as I say, this would normally be done in my box, but I thought it would be fun to do it at my desk, and hopefully I'm not spraying everything. So I've splattered my butterflies with white and bronze, and I hope you can just see some of that effect. It really does add something, some of that natural flair and movement, like that. And the last thing I'm going to do is, I'll show you perhaps on a drier one, is take a pencil, so something that's relatively slim and round, and from the top wing start to do a bit of curling. In fact, that one's a bit damp. Let me show you on a dry one. Take my pencil and gently curl it round it. Gently curl it round it. I do a little bit of the curl on the lower wing, but the majority I feel I do on the upper wing, and then I take each wing and just fold it up. So if this had beads on it, I would be folding slightly around those beads. Let me try and do it on one that I splattered. So take my pencil and, is this still, oh, doing all right actually. Just give that a little bit of a curl. If it is still damp, we could be gentle around that. So with quite a pointy wing at the top, I wanted more of the curl there. And then I just put my fingers in the middle and fold that up a little bit. And that means that when I come to use this, I've got this rather flagrant movement on the wings, but plenty of space on the back here to add glue. And these are just so much fun. They're quick and easy. There's no wire. Hopefully it's done with some really basic supplies, and you can get a fantastic effect with different designs that will go with so many of your projects. give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed seeing me make these, and do subscribe if you are a paper addict, if you also just love playing with making junk journals and paper. And if you do, then take a look at the video where I made that junk journal with this beautiful butterfly on the front, collaging the cover and making all of the pages in the signature. And also hit that subscribe button because I have something incredibly special coming next month on the 19th of June, which I think you'll really enjoy. I do hope to see you soon.